real estate finance just made sense. Once you learn the formulas, once you learn what you're looking for, if I can learn those numbers, any player can learn those numbers. And it's intimidating, but the internet is the greatest resource. Right. And once you figure out the math is not that complex.
Hey, welcome everybody to Pucks to Properties. I got Bob Lachance here with Tom Mele. We have our guest Eric Nystrom. All of us have a ton in common. We're trying to figure out what the hell we're going to do when the season and our careers were done. So hence Pucks to Properties. Eric, thanks for coming. Tom, how you doing?
I'm good. We got technical difficulties figured out, so we're about 15 minutes late, but we're good. So
all right, fantastic. So just this podcast is brought to you by REVA Global, which is a virtual assistant company, which I own as well. It's a premier virtual assistant company in the country. So if anyone's interested in virtual assistants, let my company know, and we'll get rocking and rolling. It's also brought to you by Perch Rock Management, who is our real estate investment arm. So anyway, let's get rocking and rolling. And Tom, first, why do we do this podcast before we get started?
Why do we do this podcast? We do this podcast because we don't want to scout, we don't want to coach, and we want to still give back to the game and figure out what guys want to do for life after hockey. So we created a platform to kind of utilize all those different arms, like you said, and network. And we, like guys like Eric, other guests we've had on the show, different markets around the country. We play in a lot of different markets, so if you always know somebody in an area where you're doing business, it's always good to help each other out.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too. I mean, all three of us have had challenges figuring out what we're going to do after getting out of the locker room. Everyone who's listening to this knows that you don't learn much in the locker room. I mean, you learn culture, you learn strategy, you learn teamwork, you learn all of those necessities that you need to go to the next whatever career it is. But you don't really learn anything about, and only this is coming from me, I never learned anything about careers or finances or business or anything like that. I knew how the hockey world worked, and that is a business. Don't ever get us wrong. Hockey is a business. You're always fighting for the next contract. So anyway, Eric, nice to meet you. I know Tom, you and Eric knew each other for a long time. So tell us how you guys met.
So we don't know each other that long. We met, well, I look at it this way. I met Eric. Eric doesn't remember me.
Good buddies.
Well, no, think about it. Think about back in the day. You're always like those college junior kids that always had, you go to those skates in the summer and there's NHL guys there and it's like, holy shit, I don't want to fuck this drill up. And it's like, yep. So Eric, I don't know if you remember the lunch hockey skates with Alexei back in the day, with Higgins and Komisarek and yourself and Gilroy, all those guys. And
those were the best days. I always think about those times and all those guys and just the fun that we had. The hockey part was, that was one aspect of it, but like the bond that everybody had, and especially that little Long Island connection.
Yeah.
We had just such a great crew, and everybody loved working so hard. That was definitely the best time. So much fun. I miss those days.
You had the Apple Corps guys, you had the Gulls guys, you had the St. Anthony's, St. Mary's, all the same idiots on the ice together. Yep. Just Vesey and all those guys that were good old Henry Lazar and that whole crew back in the day.
What a guy!
It was a mess, but it was something that brought us all together in an area. Obviously Alexei and obviously putting that whole thing together, and
absolutely,
it was a good time.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So, looking through your resume, obviously I don't know you, but you and I have a lot in common. Your dad played in the NHL with the Islanders for a while. My brother did for a long time. So, You and I have a lot in common. You went to college. I went to college. You were University of Michigan, 4 years. We both lasted 4 years. You got your degree, and I think you got a master's as well. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic.
Just a couple years ago, got the master's.
Good for you. Congratulations. After that, you played Calgary for a long time. You got you jumped down to the AHL for a bit. You jumped back up to the Stars, then Predators. Then the last time you played was that with Milwaukee. Is that right?
Yeah, I played just a couple games on a conditioning stint there, and then I finished up in Nashville. I missed my last season. My last 2 seasons had some pretty bad injuries. So, when I came back from that, I just had a quick conditioning stint with Milwaukee and then back up to Nashville.
No big deal.
It was just, but the writing kind of was on the wall. Those 2 seasons, I missed so much time. I had a terrible high ankle sprain at the end of one season and ended up missing the end of the regular season, all the playoffs. And then the next year, Weber hit me with a 1T right on top of the foot. Oof. And that put me out. And
he's got kind of a hard shot.
Oh, just a full clap bomb, skating full speed into it, leaning a huge horse head, just chugging down the ice, full speed. And he just leaned into it, hit me right on top of the laces. So after he hit me with that puck, the period ended, I didn't want to take the skate off, and I came up and said, "Web, did you get all that one?" He's like, "I got all of that one." So I finished the game, and after they took the X-rays, and the foot was broken, and I missed a ton of time. And I got healthy towards the end of the season again. But by that point, younger guys had already passed me and were getting the playing time. I played 1 game in the playoffs and was getting healthy scratch. And I just knew the writing was on the wall. So I enrolled in school through my agent, Rich Winter. He started this Business of Hockey Institute MBA program through a Canadian online university. And I was actually doing orientation while I was on the plane in the playoffs, trying to get a head start.
Good.
And then it was from there that I completed a diploma, not the full MBA program, because I got plucked from there by a contact at the University of Michigan who was like, "You know what, we think that you should come and do the sport management program." And it was a great stepping stone to get back in school. It was online learning, but getting back to Michigan and into the classroom there was a huge transition for me, and it was great to get back and start learning again.
So let's take a step back, because a lot of, whether you go from junior or college, I know college we're a little different, right? Let's start with the mindset first. What was your mindset when you went, because you were a first round draft pick, is that right? Mm-hmm. Number 10? Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. So
what's the mindset going from college? Obviously very successful in college. Did you guys win a national championship?
No, a couple Frozen Fours. Never won the whole thing. Minnesota 2 years in a row knocked us out, and they ended up winning it.
Dude, my last year we got our ass kicked by Michigan 4-0. That's when Turco was there.
Yeah.
So they had us mad, and they were studs, dude. They were freaking. And we were good. The year before we beat everyone by 4 goals. So we were just on our way out. Drury was there. You have Greer, etc. Pandolfo, everyone signed.
Got it.
Pretty interesting. So so your mindset there. Are you ever thinking about life after sports, or you think the NHL lasts forever?
Well, I was lucky because I had a dad who played in the league. Yep. So obviously I had his guidance, and coming up from Long Island, major junior wasn't even a thought. Like, it was just college the whole way. So that wasn't even crossing my mind. College, he was pushing me towards college, and he had a great hockey career. Yeah. But he made his financial success, because they didn't get paid that well back then, in the business world on Long Island, obviously very well known. So I knew that how hard he worked, you just can't just put the brakes on after hockey, especially playing in that era, and just coast. Obviously, we earned a lot more. I earned a lot more than he did in his career, because the salaries are so much higher. But I knew college was a route. Went to that U.S. national program, got recruited to Michigan from there. My senior year was a lockout, so there really was no opportunity to even leave school early. So it played out perfectly, went all 4 years, and couldn't have been happier about doing that, getting the degree.
Yeah, I just wanted one takeaway there. I think it's really important for everybody. So getting a mentor, you were lucky you had Rich Winters, obviously, but taking a step back, anyone early in their career, make sure you guys get a mentor and more on the business mentor or whatever. You have to, everyone, I think, and I want to ask you this question. Do you believe that everyone should start thinking about, what's going to happen after? I know we're so focused, right? Every single, you're focused to get the longer term contract or the next contract because, we have our blinders on because we have to. I mean, dude, we got a gun against our head every day.
Yep.
So what's your thought there?
If I knew what I knew now.
Thank you. I say that every day.
And I'll tell you, when it comes to mathematics, I am atrocious. Atrocious. But real estate finance just made sense. Once you learn the formulas, once you learn what you're looking for, if I can learn those numbers, any player can learn those numbers. And it's intimidating, but the internet is the greatest resource. Right. And once you figure out that math is not that complex, then you can take it as far as you want. But had somebody taught me when I finished playing, I did some fundraising for this private equity fund in the single family space, and I went into pitches with the founders, got to sit in, super like a real estate Rain Man. I was basically following around. Yep. And I did it for, I don't know, maybe 6 months to get the fund, some seed money for the fund. And if I had gotten that education at the beginning of my career, I would have amassed a portfolio when I was earning as much as I was. I would have been picking off places in every city that I was playing in, holding the places that I lived in. I never spent above my means. You find something that's affordable, you rent that after, and now I'm behind the 8 ball because I started late, and now it's a little harder to get the lending because you don't have that income coming in where a bank's going to be like no brainer. So
we were just talking about this. It's like
exactly
guys like you guys are struggling to get loans.
Yeah, well, I just have to show every single asset and do it in that regard. And then the other, I made some mistakes. Like I got the low interest rate on a couple rentals because I put it on my personal credit and had a second home. And then I went to buy my own home after I was done playing. I couldn't get a mortgage because I had, close to $900,000 in real estate debt on my personal credit. So I had to refi out of those into the LLCs and clear my credit in order to, and the whole process which is how you should do it correctly to begin with. But had I learned what I knew now, the cash flow that I'm trying to achieve now could have been set. And once you're done playing, that ball's already rolling.
So let's break that down a little bit. But let's start first with the end, and then we'll go back because I think this is really, really important. You said a couple things that are incredibly important. One is connections, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. But let's start. What do you have right now in your portfolio? Like, tell us a little bit about. I want to back into how you got started because that was really important, and then we kind of stop. But let's start with the back first. What does your portfolio look like? And then we'll get into how really you started getting into real estate.
Sure. Yeah. Early on through my dad and talking about connections, he has an accountant that has these syndicated deals, these strip malls and secondary, tertiary markets. They're just a solid yield, like 8 to 10% yield all day long, monthly checks. So I started investing in those early on and getting those checks consistently, which I'm still getting. They did a refi of the portfolio, so I got a huge.
Let me pause you for a second on this because this is important because I know my brother started doing that and got in with the wrong people, right? Mm-hmm. So I just want to caution everybody too. What would you tell somebody? How would they do their due diligence? Because if you have X amount of money, everyone's always trying to take your money. Oh, I can use it for this. I could use it. I remember my brother got into this painting, like buying paintings and buying for less and selling it for more. Same thing. But within real estate, we all know real estate here, right? And there's a lot of sharks out there. So what kind of advice would you give somebody? Because, nowadays everyone has a syndication. Hey, Eric, I'll take your money. Tom, you got extra money. I'll take it.
Exactly.
What kind of advice would you give somebody?
Understanding what you're reading. Say you get some literature on a certain investment. Becoming educated on the numbers, reading, verifying, of course, track record, all these things are important. And my dad had been invested in this,
Perfect.
you know, in these strip malls for such a long time. His longtime account. Not to say that, you know, that can't go south or be a total scam, but you know, it was a lot of trust was built. The returns were there. You had tangible assets that were verifiable. So that's a huge, you know, that's why I would invest in that. I'm very skeptical of people coming to me with, and I have been burned before. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So
I think we all have.
You learn the
Dude,
hard
I
way.
lost 150 grand on a knockdown rebuild in Greenwich, Connecticut, down the street of Regis Philbin. Guess what not to do? I will tell you what not to do. So that's
exactly.
your point is verify. Make
Yeah.
sure you actually get your eyes on that asset.
And educate yourself
Regis
so you
Philbin?
know. Yeah, Regis Philbin. And you know, other things too, like the get rich quick schemes, they don't exist. Anything, I say this all the time. Anything that I've worked for, like my own, as I started investing more, you know, we picked up our own properties and we put the blood, sweat, and tears into those, and we've gotten rewarded. Hockey, the commitment, the effort, got rewarded based on that. You know, anything that I've tried that somebody's promised me something that seems too good to be true, have gotten burned. So you gotta be aware.
Yeah. So with that, what do you have now? So let's keep
So
going
I
on
have
with
those. The fund I was talking about, it's in the single family space. The fund owns 600 homes now. Bought the homes prior to the COVID surge. So, and we're buying them undervalued to begin with through the founders network. So we got this huge appreciation. Plus now rents are going up because the home buyers are getting squeezed out. So it's really performed well. So I'm in that fund. Had a couple other investment opportunities with some really smart real estate people, high net worth through my dad's connection, which I'm so lucky to have. And those have delivered great yields. And then, so that's like, you know, limited partner investing. And then personally, we got, I have 2 rentals in Nashville. One we sublet out and the renter can Airbnb it. Right across the street from Belmont University, prime location. We had it as an Airbnb, but it can't really compete with some of the properties in the area. So we kind of use it as a hedge against the risk of Airbnbs and short-term rentals and get the 12 months locked in there.
Perfect.
Then I have another one in the area that's got the rooftop overlooking downtown. You know, it's doubled in value in 5 years. Same thing when COVID hit, we shifted to putting some students in, got a really great rent to price ratio. And we're about to switch back to Airbnb. The lease actually ends today.
Love it.
And then we have 3 really unique properties out in Joshua Tree, California.
Yep.
Now you can scale and have 20 doors, but these 3 doors alone make as much as the 20 doors. These things are absolute machines. But we're running into a little bit of some headwinds right now because one of the properties was a tiny home with, like, you know, you look out the front door and you just see 30 acres of Joshua trees and desert abutting the national park. But obviously it was built on a trailer hitch on wheels. So the code enforcement came and shut us down. So we lost that. And we bought that in one deal with another property, like this dome house with a shipping container, guest house. It's so cool. Like it's like glamping on steroids. Both.
I wanted to touch on those. So were those just items you created and turned into homes, or were they existing already?
Yeah, they were existing.
Just rented it. Okay.
Yeah, they were existing. So the tiny home, the previous owners lived in it, and then they like managed the dome house property from that. And when we bought it, we were like, that's an income producer. What are you thinking? And that thing on its own, it's a 300 square foot tiny home on a trailer hitch, and it made $90,000 in gross revenue.
Whew.
And when you combined it with the other one, we made 232 gross revenue, 232,000, and we were closed in July, August, and September because they're fully solar powered. These things are whack. These aren't your normal homes. So
are they on the same property?
Same property.
Okay.
100% occupied, 3 years straight, every single day, turning over, netting like 40% of that, maybe even a little higher on those ones. but the tiny home got shut down. So we lost about 40% of our gross revenue. Mm-hmm. So that really hurt us. And then they cut our occupancy down at the other one because this one shipping container we were renting out, it wasn't considered habitable. So regulations are a big part of it. And then we have another one over there that's a little more luxurious, that's closer to the park entrance, has like an infrared sauna, hot tub. We did one of those stock tank pools for that looks awesome. And that one's been booked and it crushes it. But we are seeing like the market kind of pull back also. It had a big surge during COVID because people from LA were trying to get out of town and be a little more isolated. So Joshua Tree just skyrocketed. But and so we're kind of seeing that level off. And I think that it's become so saturated. They're putting a pause on permits right now. And we have a new build that we're building out there that's kind of been delayed a little bit because of a error by the builder. So we got set back about 4 months, and now there's a pause on the permits for 45 days. So we're facing the adversity, and we're going to persevere. We'll persevere through it, but real estate has its challenges in problem solving. Yeah. So that's where we're at with the portfolio.
Eric, I'll add to that too. A takeaway there is know where you're buying, the areas you're buying, because this is California. Let's call it what it is. Yep. California is its own country. Like when you start doing real estate all over the country, for us, man, California is its own beast. So know your local regulations, just like you said, permitting. It's really
different. Can change.
Just like this. Whoever comes in for political reasons, they change just like that.
Our tiny home got shut down because there was a disgruntled local who was actually looking at Airbnb listings and then referencing the parcel viewer from the county's website and seeing what the structures were. Now, we were in Joshua Tree before the regulation started. And then once they started getting more stringent, then we knew that the tiny homes days were numbered.
Right.
We just knew. But we figured we had an inspection for the other property, and they never cease and desisted us until a local roasted us.
Yep.
I hate that person.
But guess what? We're in a victim mentality world, right? Somebody always wants to take someone who's up here. They want to pull them down. It's like crabs in a bucket, man. All those crabs want to bring everyone else down. It's unfortunate, but hey, guess what? We know that to be. The other highlight I just want to highlight is, you guys shifted during COVID, right? A lot of people, if they look at what they have, it's kind of like a good correlation is, guess what? If we go to the NHL or AHL as a playmaker, right? You're a power play guy. A lot of times you got to switch your game to a hard-working, forechecking fourth liner and then work your way up. That's pretty much a correlation of going from that to what you guys did in COVID. I think that's really important on how you shifted your model. In real estate, a lot of times we have to shift. Right now interest rates are ticking up. Hey, guess what? All three of us might have to shift their model. Part of the game, right?
Absolutely.
All right, let's keep going with that. So you have Nashville, Joshua Tree. You got the funds. What else you have a new build. So let's
I got a new build going on right now. It's going to be a really, really cool spot. It's on a 5-acre lot. We find that people really want that isolation in Joshua Tree. So we got 5 acres. We're building a really unique home. It's going to have a pool. I don't want to give too much information out there, but it's stressful right now because it's a little behind. We're seeing the market cool off. It is getting really hot out there, so we don't know if the seasonality is playing a part of it. But the demand was just insane. We couldn't keep up with the demand. We were raising our rents. Our revenue was setting record highs. So now we're seeing a little leveling off. And I'm constantly working the pro forma, figuring out the cost, building scenarios on, if we make this rent, what's our return going to be? If we make this rent, what's our return going to be? 3 scenarios I always do: realistic, optimistic, pessimistic. And I build all the prices out in that regard with the rents, the occupancy rate, interest rates going up, how that's going to affect us. So there's a lot. It's a shitstorm.
Eric, are you pretty hands-on with everything that's going on, or do you delegate a lot of your stuff?
Oh yeah, we're hands-on, especially in that market. It's just that the places are so unique that actually for a while there, we had a management company that they were awful, and so they ended up going under. But I had just fired them, and they ended up going under. And my wife and I took over for about a year and a half, and we were managing 3 100% occupied properties, 3,000 miles away. And I thought our life was over until we got connected with a maintenance person who said his wife was managing, and she's like more of a co-host, and she does the messaging, guest relations, and we just oversee what's going on. But we learned so much in that year. We do the pricing, and that's how we get we don't just stick a software on there and let it go like a Vacasa, who they don't care about the guest service. It's harder to scale, but the returns are better because we're more hands-on with the pricing, the marketing, all that stuff.
Awesome.
Let me add to that, because I think there's two things you said were important. One of the things that we always try to do is outsource everything without understanding and learning. So I think the important part, when I first started, I door knocked for a year straight from 10. So when I retired from hockey, I was like, what the hell do I do? Right. I did a rehab. I made 30 grand. I'm like, yeah, I'm king now. Right. Mm-hmm. And then I found out that I had no more properties to rehab. So I'm like, what the hell do I do now? So then I hooked up with one of my buddies, and I door knocked from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every single day on pre-foreclosure properties. The reason why I'm saying this is because the takeaway there is my mindset was I need to learn from ground up. So what you guys did there, you found a failed management company, but I'm going to anchor back to what you said prior to that. If you played, you would have bought in every single state. Mm-hmm. You may have run into a management challenge there too.
Yeah,
so,
I mean? Think, I don't think that those would necessarily be short-term rentals as opposed to long-term rentals. Gotcha. Like we found that there's a little niche in creating something a little more unique for the short-term rentals. And like I said before, like in Nashville, I got the one we're switching back to short-term, but the other one's long-term, a little hedge. And I'll do the leasing for that. It's no big deal. I don't mind dealing with the inquiries, setting up the tours, screening the tenants, all that stuff. I don't mind doing that at all for the long-term rentals, because after going from what we went through as an Airbnb host, that's like going from Harvard to kindergarten. So I don't mind doing that and saving the 8%. I got a handyman there that I call the tenants hit me up. I just call the handyman and say, hey, let's do that. Now I'm saving a little bit of cash flow on that end, and it's really so much easier to deal with that.
You're working harder now than when you were playing.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the cash to start pouring in. That's the problem.
I said,
what a good takeaway there as well, though. You learned a lot by having that failed management company. I think that is very important, because if you didn't go through that pain, you're in a way better spot today by going through that pain. So it's a lot of what we go through in the summertime, or fighting for a contract, same kind of stuff. It's really very, very similar. Real estate is very similar. Adversity.
And like I said, the properties that we're managing are not your normal property. They're fully solar powered. If you use too much electric, the air conditioning too much in the summertime, you're going to have a power outage. You got to fire up the generator. You have to conserve energy. We have water delivered in that are in storage holding tanks on the property, like a solar water pump. It's
pretty cool.
So sick. It's so sick. But we're actually bringing in the electric right now, and that property produced so much cash flow that the neighboring lot came for sale, and we were able to purchase that and protect our little open area with just profit cash flow. We paid down a ton of debt, principal payments. In the high times, because I knew that it couldn't be sustainable. I was like, we're making so much money. Let's pay this debt down. Let's utilize the capital right now while it's coming in, because it cannot sustain like this. And we kind of came out on the upper hand, and we got hit with some regulations. So we're not going to see that type of cash flow till we figure something else out.
Hey, did you find any players that you played with were in real estate now, or do you find a lot of them? Like, what were you saying?
Yeah, that's how I got into it. I was playing in Nashville, and Victor Bartley was doing all this. He was one of my teammates there. He was doing the real estate, and he just came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to split an Airbnb?" And I said, "Yes." And that's what I tell people. The only way you're going to learn is by jumping in the water. You can't dip your toe in. You got to jump in, and you're going to learn. You're buying, like I said before, you're buying a tangible asset. It's not going to go down to zero. You might lose a little money. You might make money. But you're never going to learn until you get involved and take that risk, which is it's not that high risk. You're buying a real estate asset.
Yeah. It's not going to zero.
Exactly.
People always need a place to live and a roof over their head. So
exactly. You can always sell it if you're overwhelmed. Exactly. So that's how I kind of got into it.
Cool.
But there's a bunch of guys in real estate,
That's good.
and it's great to see.
Ask Bart's when he's coming on. I've been talking to that guy for like a month, and he's been blowing me off.
I'll tell him that I did it, and he'll be right on there. He loves it. 64 investments. Let's go.
Yeah, we were
dude.
talking about him because it's like he's still playing in KHL, so it's pretty elite level, and he's still Bob. We were talking about this the other day. I think that's going to be a pretty cool episode because he's literally still playing at an elite level. So and he's already got 1 foot. I don't want to say 1 foot out the door. He's preparing. Is the best way
Oh yeah,
to
he's definitely preparing. He's got a good knack for it. And then another guy I've been talking to, I just reached out to. I was like, buddy, teach me your ways. Is Cody Bass.
I got him coming on in 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's doing some big things.
What is he? He's not just a realtor, right?
He has his own brokerage, and he partnered with a developer, and they're doing some build to rent communities, and they're
It's where a lot of the hedge fund game is built to rent down in
that's what he was talking about in comparison to the hedge funds, how the cap rates that they have versus what the hedge funds are buying at. He's really carved out a nice little situation for himself through networking and meeting the right people and working hard.
Is he living down there full time?
He's in Nashville.
Yeah.
Nice.
You involved with Trevor Smith at all? Do you know Trevor Smith?
No, the former player?
Bart knows him. He's got a couple deals going on with him right now. He's actually good. So him and Bart's are actually good friends with my roommate from college. So that's how this whole connection started.
So Eric, quick question on that. So do you reach out to any ex-players on the raising money side?
When I was doing the fundraising for the fund, I kind of kept it to like a close network because you don't want to be coming into your teammates and now that the fund has performed the way it has, I would feel much more confident in showing that. Be like, hey, this is what we did on the last raise. But I feel like I would like a partnership with like closer friends, doing a split down payment, furnishings type deal with a buddy. I would like to scale into something a little bigger, like maybe a fourplex or get 3 or 4 guys in, something like that. But, I don't want to be like, I know that the guys are making so much money and be like, hey, let's do this together.
Right.
Just more the tighter knit guys that you're.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I could have tapped into my brother's network back in the day when I retired. And it's like, I never did it. So I always felt kind of, I feel the same exact way. Yeah. Tom, I know you got a bunch of questions there. What do we got?
All right, we touched on background. We touched on your why. So we talk about this all the time. Bob, a couple other guys in the office. Why real estate for you? What had you gravitate towards that? I know my answer. I know Bob agrees with me, but I just want to hear your opinion on that.
Well, that's a good question. I actually started learning about. It was all about the cash flow after playing, and. I saw my investments in the market with my financial advisor. It looked nice on a piece of paper, but it wasn't until I started getting into real estate where I realized that I can make these returns. I can make a better return just spearheading these deals myself. That I wasn't really spearheading, but just doing some investing on my own. And my dad was always telling me about real estate. We had family friends who were really successful in real estate, and I just dove headfirst into it. I loved it. I loved reading about it. I understood it. I started getting an idea of how the numbers work, and didn't realize how much I loved analyzing all that. Sometimes too much, but I thought that it was something, and I wanted to do it because I knew that I could have that passive income. But I'm realizing now that as we were talking about the lending, that I am in the job hunt for something more stable right now, doing some job interviews. I feel like I need to start earning a little bit of in a more normal sense, I guess, so I can keep investing in real estate. I'm doing these refis, but then all the cash is getting, held in the holding tank to put into the new build. And I really don't want to take the profits from that because I want to put every cent and recycle them. So I'm kind of
Eric, you want what's funny?
Yeah.
So the reason why I did not, so I was 2 classes short of getting my degree. 2 freaking classes, like an idiot. The reason why I didn't get them is because I didn't want to say that same thing.
Yeah.
Because you never wanted a fallback position. So what we created is a company that we just flipped 160 properties last year. I think we're going to be over 200 this year. And this is different. We're wholetailing, just doing other stuff on that side of it. So if you're looking to work with somebody, dude, we're in. But you're going down to Florida, right? You're going down to Florida.
Well,
don't get a regular job, dude. You're going to be scouting. You're going to be coaching. Come on.
No,
get him on the
it's
phone.
not
on the
be
phone.
in hockey. Even though my degree is in sport management, it's not going to be in hockey. That's for sure. But it's just like I said, like we're making a ton in distributions. We're making a ton. Like it's
a long game, like you said. Real estate is the long game. Let's call it what
exactly.
It is.
Like we're trying to just have the right amount of equity in the homes and not over levering, just being smart in that aspect. And then once this new build's done, we'll do a takeout on the back end, and we'll have another nest egg. But it's too slow.
Yeah.
It's too slow on that for where I'm at. And I really think as much as I would like to just dedicate to that, I feel like I need to something to do on the daily. Like
I was going to ask you, what's your day to day like right now?
It's not enough.
Yeah. And so this, I'm glad you just said that, because that's a takeaway that we all feel like. I know ex-player always goes through, what is the next, like, what is your why after you're done playing, man? Because, think about this. We're in the locker room. We're breaking each other's stones. We're going out, having lunch, working out, going to get some beers, coming back home, rinse and repeat every day, right? You have your strength and conditioning coach telling you what to do. Your coach is telling you what to do. When you get out, man, you're like, shit, what do I do? What do I do now?
Well, and the funny thing too is the last year I did something that I never thought I would do. I was teaching college. I was teaching at Michigan, intro level sport management course. And that was a great opportunity. And I definitely put the feather in the hat. I taught a college class. If they had known what I was doing on that campus 20 years ago, they might not have hired me. But so I was doing that. And here's the other thing too. You think, okay, for me personally, you graduate from college, you play in the NHL, went back and got my master's, that people are going to be just throwing job offers at you for X amount of dollars. Well, newsflash, it doesn't happen unless you put yourself out there. Yep. And I feel like I really haven't put myself out there as much as I needed to. I was expecting somebody to come and hand something over to me, but it doesn't work like that.
So Eric, you're saying that the world doesn't give a shit about us?
Not one. You're just a little pigeon number.
You are. So I'm glad you just said that too, because you got to find your way, right? You got to find your new community. Everyone's got to find their new locker room. We always call it a locker room. So in our real estate office, we're creating a locker room. That's why we're hiring. We're looking at all the resumes that come in. We're looking at hockey players. We just interviewed goalie of Duke lacrosse team. Like it's all athletes, because we know how to take a beating. We understand
and the sacrifice, the dedication, the teamwork, the selflessness. You don't really find those qualities. I don't think people really understand how to be selfless. There are some, but the majority in the workforce, I feel like they have selfish intentions and don't really understand the camaraderie that's built on a team. And that's why all these classes are talking about, the New England Patriots as their case studies. And they always use athletics or the military. Because
you're right. Those two. Those are
right?
the two. Yep.
So it's definitely, I feel like athletes kind of, I think that's what gets me into the door for a lot of these interviews that I'm doing. But
it's great. I love it.
I'm trying to get. I'm studying for the real estate exam in Florida. Once we get down there, going to try to go that route a little bit. So, I think that real estate, I can have the job and have the real estate side hustle, and that would be good for me.
Yeah, and everyone's different. You're right. It's good for you. I'm glad you said that, because everyone's different. What's good for Tom, what's good for me, what's good for you is all different, and that's okay. Tom, I got a couple more things. I know we're coming up to 40 minutes. We want to typically keep it, but one of the things I read on your LinkedIn page, which is extremely important, you said skilled in public speaking. How important do you think public speaking, because that equals communication?
Who said, did somebody give me a toot in the horn?
Somebody put this on your LinkedIn page. I don't know who put it in, but skilled in public speaking, management, leadership, real estate, finance, and customer service.
I'm the best.
His LinkedIn guy.
I'm the best. You might have been drunk. You might have had a couple of beers at that time.
Yeah, no. So that it's so key. it is so key to be able to present in front of people. So for my students, I made sure that for their year-end project, it was a podcast, and then they had to do a presentation on their podcast. And I told them immediately, if you stand up there and read off a piece of paper, you're done. If you have a slideshow where it's just bullet points and you're just reading the words off the slideshow, you're done. I want visuals. I want the eye contact. I want you guys speaking to the audience, not looking at me, looking at everybody, creating that eye contact. Pardon me. So yeah, those things are because you're constantly pitching. You're pitching to people. You have to talk to people. You have to have the personality.
Yeah, you're selling, right? It's everything's sales. Doesn't matter.
You're selling yourself
all
the time. So I mean, it's so key.
So
key skill.
It is a key skill. Funny thing is, Tom, I don't know if you know this. The first time I ever had to public speak was this is when I helped start a real estate education company back in. This was 2007, and the main guy couldn't go. My real estate business partner couldn't go. And they're like, Bob, you got to do it. There's 350 people up on stage. I'm like, dude, I am crapping my pants. So I go up there and I just, I had to speak for 6 hours, but it was more, we created this short sale course and I literally taught everything. And I had to sell after that. Dude, I didn't know how to sell, but I had to figure it out. Just go out there and do it.
Yeah, well, and especially the more prepared you are and the more knowledge you have, the more confident you're going to be. The less prepared you are,
correct,
it's going to show. So the preparation is so key.
I like that. Yep, that's perfect. Tom, I got one last question. What do you got on your one of the last questions for you?
I wanted to touch base on what. So you guys are moving. I know you have your house for sale right now. I think you told me in Michigan. Right?
You guys sold it. It flew off the market.
It's closed.
Closing early July, so let's knock on wood on that. But we have a deal in place. We have a backup offer, so we're happy about that.
All right, perfect. And you mentioned Florida. Is that where you guys are moving to? You're relocating?
My parents live down there.
All right, perfect. So what I was going to touch on was, and this is a question we ask everybody on the show, is what is your opinion on investors holding their real estate license?
I mean, I think it's a great feather in the cap, like if you're.
Is that what you're doing? You're going to take the test down there?
That's what, I'm going through the pre-licensing right now. Well, think about it. If you're looking at homes all the time, you see one, I might pick that one off myself. Then you're negotiating for yourself. You're saving on the commission. And at the same time, you can always reach out to your network and show them homes and have an opportunity to make a commission in that way. While at the same time, you're constantly analyzing the market and realizing, wow, this is a steal. And then you can even, after a couple of years, start your own brokerage and have people working under you. So I feel like I think it's a win-win situation.
It's always good to have. I know Bob has it. He doesn't utilize it. None of us really do. But at the same time, I just want to touch on that is, I just did a deal in end of May. I represented myself. I got it for under ask, waived my commission, financed the difference, and now we're talking about going back to the organization of athletes on how we are so structured. Now that you've taken classes, you're going to learn the laws in Florida, wherever you're going to get licensed. And I just think it can't hurt because, like you just said, you're always analyzing deals. You're always on MLS. You're looking at different ways how you could structure a deal. I think it's a no-brainer. That's just my opinion, and everybody is different.
Yeah, you're learning the laws.
Yeah,
you're learning on a deeper level what goes on besides just transacting. Title, appraisals, inspections, all that is a huge aspect of real estate. I mean, it is what real estate is. So gaining that knowledge is, I'm excited to dive into that stuff a little more.
So just some takeaways that I just wrote down just from this. So thank you, Eric, obviously, for taking the time out of your busy schedule for this. This is really important. Again, the purpose of why we do this is to give back for individuals that are in the locker room now, trying to think, what are they going to do after? It's really important to gain gain confidence to know that shit, dude. There's life after sports.
Start now.
So I will get to that question because the question is going to be where would you start? But there's some takeaways. You said connections, education, finding a mentor, communication, and taking action. All of those things were part of what you talked about, and I wrote
Mhm.
down kind of some of the terms, that is sports. Let's call it what it is. That is exactly what sports are. But the last question is, where would you give advice to somebody in the locker room? Say, if I ask you, I'm gonna say, Eric, where do I start?
Take an internship. Okay. Think of all the people that want to surround themselves with the pro athletes, that the suite holders, the people that are the sponsors. These people are in real estate. Seek them out. Ask them to just go to the office. Follow them on a meeting. That's where you learn, and then that's how you learn the most. More than any college education, being in the meetings, talking to the professionals, that's where you learn the most. And then the internet is the greatest resource. Like, you can learn so much about real estate on the internet. Read. If I can figure out the numbers, anybody can figure out the numbers. And just you got to want it. You got to want to learn. You have to want to get involved in it. So those are my key takeaways.
Love it. So your takeaway is obviously the internet, get educated. But right now, I want to highlight what you said. Right now, you're hot. When you're out of the locker room, you ain't hot anymore.
Exactly.
So use that as an asset.
Utilize it.
Right? Utilize it. So I'm glad you just said that, because
Intern.
100%.
Talk to these people. Network.
Because they don't know. I mean, think about this. Hey, when I played in Worcester in the AHL, like people thought you were in the NHL. They don't know. This is local to Worcester. Like, it is what it is. No matter where you are in that area, East Coast, it doesn't matter. Whatever other, even in Danbury, right, Tom? I mean, if you're local to that area, you could utilize that, and you are the local star. Let's call it what it is.
Absolutely. When it's done, it's done.
When it's
don't
done,
let the door hit you on the ass. Bye.
That's exactly right. Good luck, Eric. Good luck. Nobody gives a shit, so that's part of the game. But anyway, all right, with that saying, let's wrap it up. Eric, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Good luck on the move down there. Let's definitely keep in touch. I know there's something that we all could do together for sure.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. Pucks to Properties. Definitely tune in every time we have a new episode. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.